Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I have a very good guest. EVX is in the house. We are going to talk about filming and we have completely different ways to do it. Obviously, you have good materials, I don't have so much, and we are going to talk about what is the difference and what you are able to do with what you have. Okay, so big thank you to have EVX today. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Until now, we don't have anybody, but I hope that someone will come.
Sure.
But yeah, we are going to talk. Obviously, like I said, we are going to talk about filming and how all this works. And obviously, I would like to know a little bit more about you. Even if we had a live really recently, and it gave me the opportunity to know you a bit better, I think it will be cool to know a bit more about yourself. So my first question was, when do you start using electric unicycles, and which one was your first electric unicycle?
I think it was like early 26 or late 2016, early 2017, somewhere around there. My first one was the Kingsong 14S, I believe, is what I purchased. I think I have some early video of me learning, which I'm going to be putting out in a video soon.
Okay.
It's very awkward. But yeah, I started off on a 14-inch wheel. I got the S model for sport that Kingsong has. And then from there, I kind of progressed up and down through different ones. I have a friend who let me use his Gotway MCM for a while. And then I moved on to a Kingsong 16S. So a little bit higher speed, a little bit longer range. But then very soon after that, the 18L came out from Kingsong. And I quickly had to get into that. And then I sold my 16S. And then weirdly, here in North America with eWheels, with Jason, he provided a path for people who bought Ls to upgrade to an XL. Because, you know, Kingsong like a month later, they released the XL. So he was like, I need to give my people away. So I converted my L to an XL for that extra range, basically. And then I walked into getting the Kingsong 16X, and then now the Nikola 100 volt.
So it was a long time a Kingsong fan, and you jump out.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm still a fan. It's just not my daily driver, you know. I think that Kingsong will probably have. In the future I'll have another Kingsong, I'm sure. I'm not like a one, you know, company person.
Okay. Do you still have any Kingsong with you, or do you sold all your wheels?
I actually sold all my wheels except for the one I have.
Okay. So you still have just your Nikola.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it in this situation. And do you use any other PVE at the moment?
No. I mean, in my office, like my kids like to play with it, but I have the 9-bot, whatever they call it, Mini Pro or whatever. It's the Segway Mini Pro thing with the 2 wheels. I actually just use that to take the trash out, I think. So when I have to roll that down to the end of the loading dock at my office, I use that. But that's about it.
You like it? I never tried it.
I mean, it's useful for silly things like that, but it only goes like 11 miles an hour, so you're not going to like have a fun time with it or anything.
Yeah, that was the reason why I never purchased one, because it was too slow for me. My next question is, why you start doing a YouTube channel?
So I work in the TV and film industry. I run a post-production company, and we handle doing post for TV commercials and some films we've done for Amazon Prime. And for the longest time, I kind of didn't want to dive into it. Like I was like, oh, I'm sure that if I started doing this kind of thing, like on the side, I could make some okay videos. But I was like, I don't know if I want to do what I do for work in my day job after hours. Like it's a lot, you know, like filming and doing the whole post process. Like it's a lot of work. Even if you're doing even smaller scale stuff, you know, like it still takes, you know, they told me, like when I was going in film school, they said, this was like more than a decade ago, that it takes the same amount of blood, sweat, and tears to make a good movie as it does a bad movie. So, you know, it's a lot of work. But eventually I was like, let me just try it. Like, so one day there's a video still on my channel where I was like, when the 16X came out. We got a demo unit in New York City, and I was riding it. Just pulled up my 360 camera and just filmed myself, and then I edited that together for like a 60-second little thing just to try it out, whatever. And that was like, okay, that was interesting. It wasn't like a vlog type thing. And then I don't know what it was. There was like one day where I was just like, you know what? Let me just try like one episode. And so it took me like 2 weeks just because I was doing it in like after hours, you know, like I shot a bunch of stuff and then I edited it together after work over a 2 week period. And that was my first like 16x what went wrong episode. And then it was kind of like, even to this day, I'm still like, every video, I keep pumping out videos, but every video I'm like, am I still going to do this? Is this still happening? I kind of just like snowballed into it. It wasn't like a whole conscious like commitment, but I'm committed, but it was like a slow warming up to it, you know?
Okay. So it was not something, it was just you wake up one day and you decided, yeah, I need to do this.
I think I must have had a slow week at work or something when I was like, let me just try diving into this.
And before I do the next question, I need just to say something. Guys, Omidel, so first of all, thank you very much for the super sticker. Really, really thankful for the help, because all you guys knows that at the moment is my only job. And I've been like fighting like crazy to get you this, guys. So here in this bag, there is something that will be a giveaway. And I will explain how it works right now. So in a specific moment of the video, I will be asking you if you want to win that. You just have to say yes. One of those yeses, my guest EVX is going to choose, and that name will pass for the final. So basically 4 weeks, and that person gets 1 ticket to go to the final. If you win 2 tickets in the next 4 weeks, you basically, the last person, so it is going to be wrong way, is going to decide 1 person to go out of the final, okay? But even if you win 3 or 4 tickets, you always have to go to the final. In this case, if you win 4 times, it definitely is yours. But 2 tickets, you eliminate 1 person, and you can't be eliminated. But that, if you are chosen by EVX, you pass to the final, and in the day of the wrong way, you have 25% chances to win what is in the bag. But I will say what it is, but it's quite cool, it's expensive, and I think you guys are going to like. My next question, bro, is obviously you are a professional editor. We had that conversation in the past, like, what is the monitor that you are using? And my monitor was this little boy. My MacBook Pro mid-2012 with 8 gigabytes of RAM is dying, and now I have a MacBook Pro 16 inches, 64 gigabytes of RAM, 4 terabytes of disk.
Nice.
And it's so much better, man. Now I can now edit my 360 footage on my computer, because before I couldn't. So I couldn't export in ProRes. So it was impossible. So the quality, you know, I was losing a lot of bitrate and everything. So sometimes the footage was okay, and other moments you can see even squares on my footage, and I was like, how it's possible?
Apple laptops back in the day. Well, I would say if you have an older Apple laptop, the specs until recently, Apple laptop specs were awful for the price you were paying. And now if you're working with modern day video technology like 4K or whatever, just the codecs we're using today, I can feel your pain. You were probably struggling hard and wanted to throw your computer out the window, I bet.
There was so many times that I couldn't do anything. For example, I couldn't do a mask on my own. I could use any mask. No, I couldn't do anything, you know. And editing the GoPro, it was impossible. I was pressing play to change the frames, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening, so I gave up. So I had to edit on the phone of my wife, because she had like a more recent phone than me, and it was better on her phone. So I was editing on her phone, sending to my computer, and after being able to edit. And now I'm editing a video of 2 hours, and basically after exporting is more than 400 gigabytes of footage.
You gotta crunch that down.
Yes, I need, but the quality is so much better. But we will come back to that. But my question is, like you said, you've been working as a professional editor, and you work for Amazon, and you edit some films, TV shows. Can you say some names that you edit?
Yeah, so I run the company, but I'm actually a colorist by trade. I started off as an editor.
Okay.
I sort of came up as an editor, and then I transitioned into being a colorist. So for the stuff like for Amazon Prime, there's a little mini series I recently did. It was actually for the UN. It was all about sort of like their 17 precepts for like making the world a better place. It's called Together Band Voices. So I just color graded all that stuff, but it's very beautiful. The director of photography, this guy, Lance Coons, a friend of mine, we went to college together. He just does beautiful work, and his like other, I guess you call it second camera operator, this guy, John Carl, he's fantastic too. So the stuff they created together is just like spectacular stuff all around the world. They shot all around. So it's really beautiful.
I'm sure you had fun with that. But my next question is also, when you are editing, do you think that is easier to edit something that you create, or when you have to edit something for someone else?
I would say sometimes it's easier, depending on the client, to do something for the client because they have a biased outside perspective. Like it's their concept, it's their baby, and then I'm editing it and adding my creative spin to it as well. But like I really believe like in creative processes, like if you have two different minds coming together, it can make a better product. Where like with this stuff with YouTube, it's only me that has to make the final, like, does this shot stay? Does it go? Is it shorter? Is it longer? You know, like is the shot too bad? So when I get to color, it's just going to look awful. So maybe I shouldn't use this shot. Like, and then more importantly, overall, always like the story that I'm telling. So I'm the only person. So I feel like, it's easy for me to be the moderator of my own work. But at the same time, I'm like, am I too in my own bubble? I think that's the hardest part.
I feel it. I many times, I don't know how is your process to edit, but I have a rule when I'm editing, that is I edit, I re-edit, and I re-edit to make it shorter and shorter and shorter. I always edit 3 times my video to make it less annoying, and I try to use that rule of the 10 seconds. So 10 seconds, something else have to happen during that footage. So it's normally what I try to do.
I don't have any rules.
You just go with the flow.
Yeah, I just kind of go with whatever feels right. Go with your gut. I think it's just something you develop over time, working in the industry, working with people better than yourself. You sort of learn like what stuff looks good. When you're sitting in the room with clients and an edit is happening and they're loving it, and then you two are feeling like it's pretty awesome. Like you kind of, it's like, yeah, it becomes an innate thing. But no, I don't live by any. Personally, I don't live by any like rules about visuals and how long they should be on, unless it's like a specific, like when I do a 6-second edit for like so a lot of times I do branded content for people. Like I have a job coming up that is for a larger client, and they're going to have a 3-minute piece, and then probably like a 30-second piece, a 10-second, and a 6-second piece, all edited from. That's pretty typical for a lot of stuff like on the web. Mm-hmm. You do for different platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, TikTok, like everything, it's going to all of it. So for a smaller 6-second, like then you really are very strategic about how many frames you see of each image in 6 seconds to really convey the message and what is seen, because 6-second things are not 16:9. We're talking square or 9:16. So it's really strategic about where stuff is placed. Like I do a lot of beauty work too. So I do a lot of work for like Clinique and Revlon and CoverGirl. And, you can imagine like if it's a close up on an eye of a woman and we're showing off her eye makeup, like every frame matters, and how far, like how close to the edge her eye is to the frame is very important. So it's like all these little details. And those are the things I'm thinking about too with my YouTube channel, like, what can I see in the frame? How many, how can I reuse footage by just punching in like 30% or something, like just to keep it sort of fresh.
Mm-hmm. And my other question also, because I know that you are used to be behind the screens editing, what you prefer, to edit or to film?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't like editing. I really don't. That's why I'm a colorist. Like, I like coloring it, and it's, for me, I can just knock it out. Like, I can sit down and put on some music and jam out and color grade it. I have it looks like a spaceship control surface where I'm working, and I just knock it all out. But for filming, like, I enjoy filming too. I will say I don't enjoy filming myself that much. You get used to it over time. You know, I'm sure anybody who's done YouTube at first is probably like weirded out by that prospect. Like, I'm not an actor, or, you know, I'm not like obsessed with seeing myself. So at first it was bizarre to like edit my own face, you know, and like it's kind of weird. So that part was a little weird at first. Now I'm just sort of like numb to it. Like, I'm not like repulsed by this side of myself, and I'm not excited by it either. But filming is fun. Like I was saying in the last stream I did with Erwin, the Black Cobra, that like the real key to success, I feel like, for this is how I feel about my channel specifically, is like getting good shots. Like, what you capture, an edit can only help so much. So if you capture enough footage and the right kind of footage, like, you know, you got really awesome shots, then it really helps in the edit too. And
when you are doing some shots, now is out of the questions that I have there, but I want to understand how you do it. For example, obviously, to make it more cinematic, obviously you need more shots in the different angles of that specific moment that you are taking. And how is your process? How you do it?
Well, for every video, like, and I've scrapped a few videos that I've shot entirely and then just thrown them, they never saw the light of day. I have to have like a story. Like, my whole channel like isn't supposed to be like a tech review channel. It's sort of like I'm meshing like a lifestyle vlog and like unicycles, I guess, right now, and then any PEV. I'm, you know, eventually expanding into more PEVs. So like this, having a good story is like really important to me for every episode. So like, if I don't have one, it's not going to happen. So for example, I shot the Broadway Bomb last year, and to be honest, I was a little caught off guard. I think that was my first time like trying to constantly film on my unicycle with my gimbal for that long of a time. Like, I've done it before plenty of times, but like, that is kind of intense. The Broadway Bomb is intense to just ride, but I mean, I think Tashawn's in the chat, he'll tell you it's intense to shoot too. And that's a skill that you have to learn, and I would say earn over time. Is I'm shooting with my gimbal, with my DSLR, like it's a full Ronin S, on my unicycle at 35 miles per hour, trying to capture badass shots of everybody. You got to earn that, man. And I definitely did not earn it enough that day. Like, a lot of footage was cool, but there was no story for me. And I don't like to put stuff out that's just cool shot. Like, everyone in this community just puts cool shots out. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not, for me, that's not where I can be comfortable. Like, I need to have something to engage you, you know?
Mm-hmm. So before you go to shoot anything, you prepare a story. Is that what you do? You have prepared every single shot that you want to do?
Not every single shot. I think after you are a filmmaker or whatever for years, you kind of learn like the things that you gravitate towards. But I'm always watching stuff online, YouTube content, but also just like, regular Hollywood content. And I know like what kind of stuff looks good to me. Like, oh, I think this kind of shot, and I study it in my head. Like watching Tashawn's videos, he was doing, before anybody, he was shooting all the e-skates in here in New York. And so I would watch his videos and look at like, oh, when he was doing this shot here, this was so captivating. Like, overall, people would just say Tashawn's work is great, and I agree. But there's definitely shots, specifically like certain moves, that are super captivating for PEVs. And so I try to incorporate that into how I'm capturing certain things. But I feel like my work is split in half between the vlog type storytelling and really developing a visual language to tell that story, and then also just the cool shots of riding. And I feel like I like to do a mixture of the both. I mean, if you've seen my channel, I try to keep it where you have both, because I felt like in our world, there was basically people only just shooting music video type stuff. So I wanted to bring some story elements into it.
Yeah, I tried to do the same, and until today, I continue to try different stuff. If you saw when I've done the review of the 3,000 kilometers of the Z10, my computer, that one, the old one, was that, you know, the first shots like tack, 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 and changing from one. I couldn't see. I had to try to move slowly and wait that the computer could read. Again, to be able to see.
Quick edit on a bad computer doesn't work.
No, it was terrible. But yeah, I've been trying to do different stuff and see what resonates the most, because I agree with you. Sean was doing, like, for me, the best ones before you came. Now you, like I said to you, not live, but for me, you are the Peter McKinnon of the EUCs. So I really, really like your job. And it's funny, I started seeing your videos since the first one, yet you had like less than 100 subscribers. So you've been growing like crazy, man.
It always feels slow to me.
Yeah, but it's been quite fast for you, man. How long are you doing videos?
Since September.
So you are growing like crazy, bro. I'm doing this for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years and 2 months already. But I think my biggest mistake doing YouTube videos, that also in the beginning it was difficult to do it, is your content is really niched. So you just talk about electric unicycles, and mine is always been like, I talk about speakers, I talk about headphones, I talk about earbuds, I talk about lenses, I talk about skateboards, I talk about electric unicycles. So I've been trying now to at least go in a smooth road to get there. But I understand that not everyone likes every single thing, every single piece of content that I do. Obviously, if I do only about electric unicycles, it's easier for me because I know that many persons, they follow me because of the electric unicycles. But I like to cover other stuff like the GoPro Max that I've been doing the video about it, and in the end we are going to talk about these things. But you already said that you are using a DSLR, but I would like to know, which DSLR do you have?
So a lot of guys getting into YouTube or whatever, just shooting for fun, make a conscious choice about what camera they should buy. A lot of people have asked me, like, hey, what should I buy to shoot good videos? That's a tough question, to be honest, but I just had a camera that I was using for other purposes that I just started using. So I used the Sony A7R II, but I didn't okay, I'm going to start YouTube, so I got to buy a camera, and then I bought this. Like, I just had that already because I was using it I do some work in virtual reality, so I was doing a lot of photogrammetry work. So I was using it as a still camera, basically. And I never, I owned it for a while. I never even shot video with it, but then I was like, well, this is what I have, so I'm just going to use it. I think when I wanted to dive in, I bought another lens, but other than that, so the Sony A7R II is what I use.
And after you use a gimbal, the Ronin?
Yeah, the Ronin S, the big one, whatever the big one is called.
Okay.
It's heavy, but the benefit is it can handle the weight of my camera, and I have this heavy Sony glass lenses, so they're killer, man. That's what we're saying. Like, when you're riding at 35 miles an hour with a gimbal and all that jazz on, it's crazy. Looking out for potholes, trying to get those shots, and especially the Broadway bomb was difficult for me because it was there's 100 people around you, so I can't just swerve around and get interesting shots like I normally would. But yeah, so you need a beefy gimbal if you're gonna have I guess it's technically a DSLM because it's mirrorless, I think. So, but we all just call it DSLR.
Chiara is asking, do you have a drone, EVX?
Yes, I do. I have the Mavic Air is what I use. So in all my videos, I put a lot of drone shots. And so there are some shots that I get, and then there are other. I have a really good friend who is a drone pilot.
Okay.
And he doesn't do it for money, even though I told him he should. And sometimes if I like need a shot and I know he has a shot of it, I just ask him for it and I drop it into the video.
Yeah, because I was going to ask if you had the license to fly.
In New York, and I think America in general, there's a lot of gray areas. And Tishawn also has a better drone than me. I doubt he has a license. I don't have a license. Most people in New York City don't have a license, and we shoot all the time. I think if you're safe and you abide by FAA regulations, like you'll do good for the community as long as you're not an idiot. But no, I don't have a license for it at all.
Yeah, that is. I would love to have one, but I'm really concerned about that. So if I had to buy one at this moment, I will buy the Mini because it's below 250 grams.
I would strongly say don't. But
why?
The control, I mean, you can watch all the tech reviewers on YouTube about it, but the control, like the way that thing is set up, there's not enough features in it to make it sort of like useful in a professional sense. A lot of guys say it feels like a toy, it acts like a toy. And I feel like if you want to go buy the Air, it's
two
half price now. It's like $500 or something.
Yeah, because it came out the Air 2 this week.
Right. I'm going to try to upgrade to that soon. I think you should buy the Air 2 if you can. Anyone out there, that's definitely a great drone to dive into. It has the latest and greatest of the radio frequency signal that they send out to control your drone. I think it's better than the Mavic 2.
Yeah, and even the range now it passed from 4 kilometers to 10 kilometers,
and the most flight time too.
Yeah. It passed from 21 minutes to 34, I believe, something like that.
Yeah. If
my memory is correct. This is out of the conversation of today, but when we talk about electric unicycles, obviously always come. Amideli asked, what is your advice? Do I get a Lacroix? I believe that is an own board or a S18 V11. I'll let you first.
That's like a tough call. That's like apples and oranges, like boards or unicycle. It really depends on where you want to go with that.
It was saying that it's more for fun.
I will say the S18 and the V11 are more geared towards people who want to not go far, not go fast, but like mob around town and like jump up stuff, down stuff, more think of it like a street skateboard, like when they have street competitions. I think that the S18 and V11, more the S18 if we're honest, probably fits into that new sort of category being carved out for electric unicycles. If you want the electric unicycle for the more typical reasons, I wouldn't go with this. I would go with the LaCroix because the LaCroix is a pretty powerful wheel if you get the Nazarene or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Nazarene, yeah.
So I know it's not a definitive answer, but if you want like long range, fast speed, fun time, like go to the LaCroix. But if you're looking to just like do a bunch of like tricks and mob around town and pop up stuff and down stuff and go over rough terrain, like the S18 or V11 is probably a better bet.
Yeah, I will say the same. The Lacroix, I would love to have a Lacroix at home, and like I said all the time, for me, electric skateboards is for fun. So, for example, in the end of the day, I normally go for a walk with my wife, and she normally walks, and I go with the skateboard, and I go around like just curving. If you go to my Instagram, it's there. The other day that I went with my small Leaf Board Plus. So for fun. I continue to love my electric unicycles, but because I feel much more in control, I feel much safer in the EUC. It feels less fun, if it makes sense. So when I go on my skateboards, I feel more in risk. So I feel that I'm having more fun than in the electric unicycle. I feel that having suspension, the electric unicycles becomes even more safe. So I think the fun is even taken out even more, if it makes sense, at least for me. The own board. If it's the on board, the OW that is there, it's a very good in off-road for a low price. I believe that is is the best one in for off-road in the low price. I'll definitely buy a on board, but it's completely. If you want to commute, I think skateboards is not the best because if it's raining, you can't use them, and they are much more unsafe when it's raining, for example, than if you are using an electric unicycle. I will not recommend to use electric skateboards when it's raining. I've done it quite often, but I will not recommend. Let's see if there is any other questions here. Don't buy the mini. Cobra was saying, so it's sufficient tall. Yazin, thank you very much for the super stick. I'm really thankful for that. Thank you, man. Sorry, I was just scrolling down. So it's not odd. There is no other questions there. When we talk about lenses, which type of lenses do you normally use, and what is the aperture that you use on your camera?
So I'm only using on my wider lens. It's only like an f4. It was an expensive lens, but it was like $500 more for like the 1.8, and I was just like, I'm sure it's useful, but I can't afford to do that. So that my wider is 16 to 35, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have an 85 millimeter lens too. And that one's a 1.8.
Okay, and you in which situations do you normally use one lenses to the other?
So I'm only using the 85 millimeter when I'm shooting other people, shooting other stuff. Generally, not on my, not when I'm riding, capturing someone in motion. More when I'm doing like B-roll stuff. Yeah, like it's definitely a beautiful lens and used for a very specific scenario for me. It's kind of a giant gap between like the guy that uses a 16 millimeter lens and an 85. That's a huge gap. But I used it for more beautiful like B-roll shots as the 85, and then the 16 to 35 I use. It's a workhorse. I use it for everything, like so. And I often find that like 16 to 28 is about like going to 35 is on that lens on a full frame camera. I don't really. The 35 is like just a blah kind of focal length on that camera specific because it's a full frame. So yeah, I don't really find myself going that far in. I think I would only do it if I'm like trailing behind somebody while I'm riding. Like I just shot a profile on a rider here in Miami, and most of the time when I shoot profiles on guys who are e-boarders, I don't have to give them any instruction. I just fly around them. But Tashawn probably knows this too. Like back in the day, like he was the fastest guy in the crew with his electric unicycle, so he could fly around the borders and get cool shots, no problem, because he was faster. But with the unicycle guys now, with how fast they all go, this guy's riding a Nikola Plus as well. So I had to be like, bro, you have to slow down. I can't ride at 40 and film you. It's too much, dude. He's like, oh, sorry. I'm like, you really have to like drop it back to like 25. Like unless it's a specific scenario where I need to film someone at high speed, I'm like, you gotta drop it back for me so I can actually capture you. So in that case, some of the times I was just cranking it all the way to 35 millimeters because, as you know, with like a wider angle lens, the farther you are from it, it feels exponentially farther away this way, right? So when he would go like 5 feet in front of me, it would feel like he was 20 feet in front of me, So that would be the only scenario when I'm like cranking my lens to 35 millimeter.
Answering to the question of Guillermo Navarro, what is your opinion about the Insta360R? And after I give mine.
I think it's cool. I think if you own a GoPro, which I do and use all the time, and you own a 360 One X, which I do and use all the time, not really necessary to buy unless you just have extra cash, because basically they filled this strange new territory of mixing that action cam GoPro thing and the 360 cam thing all in one. So if you get that package deal with all the lenses and stuff, like you have the best of both worlds. So at that point, don't buy a GoPro. But if you have a GoPro and you're looking to get a 360, maybe dive into that. But I feel like there's a 360 One X. There's a new one coming out, so maybe hold off if you're looking to buy.
In my opinion, I think it's a very interesting camera. I've been trying to see if they wants to work with my channel to bring them in. What I've been seeing is it continue to have a lot of bugs. This camera, I really like. If I had to buy the Insta360, it was just for the 1-inch sensor, because obviously when bigger is the sensor, better, because that is always a problem when you have an action camera, is the amount of light that you need to have good shots. But for example, there is another question here about what we think about filming EUC rides with a GoPro 8. I'm going to be honest, I prefer to film with a GoPro Max, even if the quality of image is inferior. After obviously EVX, you can say what you think, but I don't need a microphone. The 6 microphones that you have on this one are amazing. The second thing is I can see what I'm doing. So if I have to use in hero mode, like I said, now I start seeing editing and exporting in ProRes with my computer, and the quality, it seems that I have a new camera. So if you have one of these or a GoPro 8 and you are shooting, I definitely don't recommend that you use your phone to edit your footage, because the quality that is coming out is very, very inferior of the end result. Just to give you an idea, 10 minutes filmed in 360 with this is 34 gigabytes in ProRes, and it can be more depending on the type of ProRes that you are, but I'm shooting in 422 or exporting. Jomotech, thank you very much for the 2 euros. For a long time that I don't talk about euros, so thank you very much, my friend, to always being here supporting me as usual. But yeah, the Sean was saying the microphones are amazing in the GoPro Max, and that's the main reason for me to buy an action camera, because if I want to shoot or I'm with someone and we want to talk about it, I have a video on my channel riding the Kingston 16X and the WOW bike, and I'm talking with my friend. I was thinking, the sound is going to be crap, but it was amazing. What is your opinion, and which camera are you using? Because that was one of the questions.
So I don't really, if I'm using my 360 camera, I'm not concerned about audio. I don't use it at all for that purpose. So I love the 360 1X from Insta or whatever they're called. That's my go-to just because of how lightweight it is, and I found their program for editing it is pretty great. I actually do it on my laptop or my desktop computer. That I stand by that. So any of the ride footage in mind, I have a video coming out very soon where I feel like I got some really badass shots of me riding because it's just so lightweight and it's easy to edit. That's where I go. I'm sure the GoPro Max is probably a little bit better quality, and it's from a guy who cares about quality a lot. I know it's kind of weird for me to say, like, I don't care. But in that scenario, like, the only reason I'm using it is to give my audience like some interesting, cool shots of myself riding, which, obviously I can't film myself with the gimbal. It's not going to work. So that's my go-to. I haven't tried the GoPro Max though. It looked really amazing when I saw it when they had the big keynote that came out. But yeah, my go-to is the Insta360 1X, which is like the longest name ever.
The only thing that I'll love is that in the future they put a Max with 8K, so you'll have 4K in both lenses.
Right, yeah.
Because it's incredible, man, for a so small body. And the other day I filmed 2 hours and 15 minutes with this, and that's what I've been editing since yesterday. And 3 batteries in 360, and I still had battery in the end of the day. So really, really happy with the end results. And if you want to see the sound of the microphone, definitely go. Before we go to the next questions, I want just to show to you guys what is, if you just join, we are doing a giveaway, and I have to thanks to Xion Protective Gear. So I don't know if you heard about this brand before, bro?
No.
So these guys, all the protections on the body, and that's why they are expensive. They are all in 3DO, and it's not that they just have one and all the rest is just other type of materials. Everything is 3DO. And I've been trying to negotiate this for a while to bring to you guys. So what I could find to get to you guys is this shirt. So you'll have 3DO on your shoulder, 3DO, 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 and this is, I think, is around 200 euros. So it's not cheap. To win this, what you have to do is, in a specific moment of this live, I'm going to ask who wants to win the shirt. You have to say yes. You can't, EVX. You are the guest today. But you have to say yes. EVX is going to choose that name, and that name will pass to the final. So in the day of that wrong way will be here is when I'm going to say who wins. If every single day that we are doing the lives, every Friday, one person will have a ticket to reach the final. If you get 2 in the final, one of the persons will be eliminated, and in that way you have more chances to win. So just to let you know, guys, when that moment will arrive, you just have to put yes on the comments, and EVX will choose someone. Okay?
What size is that one? You only have one size?
No, the size after I just have to give the details to the company, and the company will send to you the size that you need. Okay?
Cool.
It's dope. I tried also with G-Form, because also I'm starting to work with G-Form, but they said no. So Xion, they are amazing. They are really, really kind persons. I definitely recommend you to give a look on their products, because they are amazing. And after, when we'll finish this live, I will give my discount. So if you guys want to purchase and helps also the channel, you'll have 10% off on any products from Xion Gear Protect if you want to purchase. So next question is, do you use filters, and which ones?
You mean in shooting or in post?
No, in shooting.
Yeah, I just have a variable ND filter that whenever I'm shooting, because a lot of my stuff is daytime stuff. I do a little bit of nighttime, but I have a variable ND on mine, so that at any moment I can just sort of stop down without having to like rifle through settings and change my aperture or my shutter speed or anything like that while I'm filming. The downside to the variable ND, maybe it's because I just didn't buy the most expensive one on the block.
Is the vignette, yeah?
A bit of that, yeah. I think the higher end ones might have solved that. But also, and it's just like I'm working through it as a filmmaker, but it's a small turn sometimes to get it where I need it. So it's easy, at least on my Sony, to overdo it sometimes and stop down too much. So, I mean, it is a light twist sometimes to get it. If it's just like, if I'm going slightly overexposed, I'm like, oh, let me just twist this thing. You got to be real gentle about it. But it does stay in place. Not that I've noticed, I've never found while riding and shooting that like it's spun or anything. It's stayed in place through all of my riding stuff. But yeah, the variable ND is about all I'm using filter wise.
Okay, I don't use any filters. So by the way, that's also why I wanted so much to do this episode with EVX, is just to show that, obviously not comparing the quality of my videos with the quality of his work, because it's not comparable. But what I used to shoot is my Note 8, and I use lenses, the Moment lenses. So I have the wide angle here, the second generation wide angle that they have. They are amazing. If you want to purchase, I think it's a good purchase, but they have a big problem. Is the cases, they are super fragile. So in 1 year, this is the 4th case that I have. So they break quite easy. There is a new brand, that I don't really remember the name, but if you try to find, they have, if you have an iPhone, they have like cases that you can purchase, and they are all in metal. So they are super durable, and they looks really nice. But this is the way that I've been filming. In the beginning, I was filming with my phone, and I was super scared to fall on my skateboards and filming. And in that time, I even then had a single, how you call this, sticker, selfie stick. So I was using my tripod because I didn't have a selfie stick. So very like a poor crazy guy. Yeah. Tripod. This one, if it's in here. No, I think it's in the other room. But yeah, that was the way that I was filming in the beginning. And after, when I was working at Apple, a few days before they fired me, I thought, oh, I'm receiving more. Let me buy this. So I purchased the Max, and yeah, after those £500 in that time was quite useful for me. Anyway, coming back, when we talk about, once again, because we've been talking about the GoPro, I want to know a little bit more is like settings and everything. Do you use the color grading of the GoPro? Do you put in flat? What is the settings that you normally use?
So, well, for my 360 camera, I shoot in log. On the GoPro, since it's out of all my cameras in the arsenal, it's the least used camera in my edit. I have just been using it with the standard GoPro color profile. But generally speaking, if I have to choose when I'm given a camera, I am never going to go with their standard color profile, and I'm never going to shoot Rec 709. I'm probably going to shoot log if they offer it, even if it's a cheap log, because I'm going to color grade it on the back end, and I want the most bang for my buck. So, you know, a lot of smaller cameras, probably even action cameras, are like giving like a fake log. But generally speaking, with a DSLR of any kind that offers log gamma space, that's going to give you the most dynamic range. So if you have a DSLR and it claims, 10 stops of dynamic range, but if you're shooting in the Rec 709 gamma space, you're only getting like 6 stops. You're not actually getting the full. So you have to shoot in log to get it. And then on the back end, I want all that information so I can color it accordingly.
In my case, it's like you. I use in flat mode. The other things is I use the lenses in linear, because obviously it's more stable. So when I'm using, obviously I always have the hyper smooth turn on. Only if I want to do like shots, like rotating, obviously I take that because I want to make that effect. And after in the computer, I'll be able to do it better. Before I couldn't even use it stabilizing with the other computer. So, so all the stabilizing that I could do, it was with my arm, bro. And yeah, I always have the bit rate in high. The shutter speed is in auto. Even if I don't like, I prefer to have the shutter speed controlled, but it just goes up to 240. I put in auto because when you are using electric unicycles and you go around, it's really difficult that you can be adjusting all the time. So sometimes you are below some trees, sometimes I was feeling that all my footage was really, really dark. So that is what I do. If you want to compensate in the EV compensation, you can drop 1 or 0.5. It will help to don't blow the highlights. And the white balance, I normally use 5,500 if it's like in this type of environment. But if I'm outside, I normally shoot in 6,400 if it's a sunny day. If I'm going to shoot outside, but it's a windy day, like a cloudy day, or if I'm like in the snow, obviously I'm going to shoot in 5,000 or 5,500. And the ISO, I always try to be the lowest as possible, but I normally don't go above 400. Otherwise, I'm going to have a lot of noise. The sharpness I use in low. The color, like I said, I use in flat. And the audio I use in high, obviously, quality. Of all this information that I said, do you want to say if you was going to do something different, bro, or you think you'll do more or less the same?
I would probably do the same on the GoPro for most of that. I'm not sure. I probably would, for outside, for my color temperature, 5,600 is probably the highest that I would go.
63?
56.
56 is the maximum.
Yeah, that's like what daylight reads at.
Okay.
But again, like with that, you're pretty close to like you can just quickly white balance that in post. So it's not a huge deal, but completely agree that like the only cameras I'll throw a bunch of auto features on is an action camera, because like you said, it's not something you can deliberately sit down and get shots with in that fashion. You're probably moving of some sort, right? So definitely want the auto so it can compensate for going under, like you said, trees or a bridge. Or in New York City, I mean, we have the giant buildings, so you're going to go from, it could be a wide open where the sun is peering down, you know, like 34th Street, and then you go like half a block. So like a second later, it's completely like wildly different and like almost dark. So you need to make sure that it can compensate for you. And generally speaking, when I'm picking the shots in post, I'm not going to pick stuff that's in transition. I'm going to pick where I'm either in the light or in the shadow where after it's already compensated.
Yeah, because it's when that happens is really difficult. There is that moment that the camera can't adjust, and when I pass below bridge or something, there is always that moment that it looks really ugly, but after it compensates back because of the shutter speed is in auto. There is here a question. It's not related with video, but we are going to answer anyway. Why not? No one is using neck protector on EUC. What is your opinion?
I don't know. I haven't really heard of anyone having any serious neck injuries. On top of that, we already look crazy enough. I think you would look just crazier if you had a neck protector. I think if you have a good helmet, that's like a good start. A good full face helmet is going to protect you from all that kind of stuff. Especially, like I use the like mountain bike helmet basically. Mountain bike or dirt bike helmets are going to have that brim at the front that's going to prevent any kind of whiplash if you do fall on your head. So yeah, I don't know that you would need it, to be honest. And most people aren't traveling at speeds that me and some of the guys in New York are. So I don't really think you would need that at all.
I agree with you. I think obviously I see too many persons using just not a full face helmet. They should use if they go really, really fast. If I go with my wife and I go until the lake, yes, I go with the RG1DX from Ruroc, and I use Ruroc because I receive them for free, so I don't pay them. So normally on those type of rides,
send me one. my wife wants to get the RDX one because I just taught her how to ride.
They are cool. They are cool. They improve a lot. So since I started working with them, the helmets was terrible. The RG1DX version 2 was terrible. The Atlas 1 was terrible. But after all my criticizing points, they improve a lot. The new Atlas is amazing. And by the way, guys, if you are here for the first time, there is also running a giveaway on the videos of the Ruroc Atlas 2.0. So if you want to win, it's still running because it's going to run a little bit longer, but we are almost saying who is going to be the winner. So if you want to win Atlas 2.0, definitely check those videos and participate. But yeah, when I go like super crazy, I use full face. So I use the Atlas 2.0. And my wife, when we go in the middle of the cars and stuff like that, I make her use the other Atlas because I want her to be safer. And I think that also you don't see a lot of persons using any protections because we are the family of the rebels using skateboards. Yeah, you see a lot of guys using skateboard and they think that they have an iron head. So I think even us EUC riders, we protect ourselves much more because we respect more our PVE because it takes us longer to learn, I believe. So that is my opinion. So coming back to the subject of this live, Black Cobra is asking if you use LUTs for someone else or do you do your own LUTs?
I have a sign at my office that says no LUTs allowed. I don't use any LUTs. I just do a custom color grade on everything. Every project for YouTube, especially, I treat it different because I just want to try different stuff as well. So there might be some similar line of how I grade things, but here's a problem. It's a real, like, I think people should know this, is LUTs created by YouTubers on the internet are awful. And a lot of them will break your image faster than they help your image. And there is a LUT stress test that you can find on the internet. If I find a link for it, I'll try to get it to your subscribers or whatever. But you can test the LUT to see how it holds up under a little bit of color grading pressure, basically. And a lot of the times, a LUT is created by someone who doesn't know what they're doing to create a LUT. Like, so for example, the filters on Instagram that we all have been using for years since Instagram came about, that was created by a friend of mine who's a colorist in New York City. So like that was actually thought about and created, and those work pretty well for what they are. But the biggest problem with a LUT is LUTs are always created specifically for the video that person is using it on, right? So if I shot a video of you riding with your wife down the street in the UK, maybe it's a cloudy day, and I create a really cool look and I want to make that into a LUT, it's not going to work on a lot of other things. So, trying to retroactively fit it, and especially, again, if you didn't shoot it, if I don't have shot in the same way that we shot the thing of you and your wife, it's not going to perform the same way. And LUTs are very limiting in that they cap you chromatically, and they cap you in the way of luminance as well. And that's to a creative extent. But again, if you didn't shoot it in the same way, it can hurt you. And I see it all the time. There's a lot of color noise that comes out of LUTs that people are using online, like little speckled different millions of little colors and parts of the image, and it's just kind of ruining your shot. People who aren't colorists don't like this answer because they're like, well, I just want to throw a thing on it, call it a day. But I mean, part of my job as a colorist, the main thing, and even high profile clients that I work with forget this all the time, is my job is to make everything feel like it's in the same universe before having a cool look, right? So like I can create a cool look. I can create 1,000 of them all day. And you might be like, oh, that is such a dope look. But if I can't make it fit onto every shot across the entire commercial or whatever, like it's useless. So as a colorist, my job is to, fix everything and make it feel precisely like it was shot at the exact same time for the exact same thing. So again, that's where like a LUT.
Mm-hmm. I don't use also LUTs. I tried in the beginning. Like I said to you the other time, I never learned how to color grade, nothing. I've been doing I never learned how to do videos before. I started doing videos 2 years ago when I started my channel, and it's been like trying and error. And yeah, I tried some LUTs also in the beginning, and it was horrible. I hate it. So I do exactly like you. I'm going and I do the color grade. Like you saw that video that you asked me which monitor I was using. So that's the way. MLC, she's saying that I look like PewDiePie. I would love to have the subscribers that they have, but there's a big difference between each other. And she's asking if you use the SLR on smartphone. In my case, I use my Samsung Note 8, and on all my videos, so everything that you see on this room is with this phone. By the way, talking about the color grading, what I do is, like you can see here, I always close my window, so the colors and the lights are always exactly the same. So if you want to do this type of videos that you talk on a specific room, if you can control the light, it's so much easier because you can after copy paste your color grading if you are happy with the end results, and also the sound, where is the microphone. So it's much easier for you to put more content out if it makes sense. And obviously the god here of the video, EVX, he use a DSLR. I will not see him so much using phones.
I've only used my iPhone once, and that was at the end of my NYEF video. It was just like after the episode was over, it was a little bit extra footage. That's because at that point my DSLR had died, and it was just like me and my friends riding around. That's the only time I ever used a smartphone.
There is another question not related with video from PN. In Italy, the legal situation have become really serious, high fines and confiscation the vehicles. How is the situation in America?
So this is the thing people don't like on the internet, and it's just true, is we don't really have confiscation or crackdowns or fines on a lot of things. Like, it's still the Wild West in America, man. Like, everything goes here. So people don't like that. Maybe because they're jealous. I don't know. But like, I've been seeing this stuff online where in Europe and the UK and different places in South America, they're getting, restrictions on these things. It's not the case in America. We have a lot more liberties than a lot of countries. We're still the freest country in the planet. So for better or for worse, I think in the age of the virus, like for worse, because all Americans are a little too free in the sense of like, I feel like in other countries, there's a bit more sense of like oneness with helping others. So I think that's our biggest downfall, not to get too deep into that, is because we're so free, people are like, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not socially distancing. Forget you.
Here is the same in UK, man. That's why the things are so bad at the moment.
But yeah, there's not ever been any crackdown at all in the, like, I feel like there's like college campuses, so private places, right? Like a college campus is considered like a private organization in some sense, is where I think they made like electric longboards illegal. But aside from that, in general, like in the mass populace, like if you're just living wherever, like you're at your home in your neighborhood, in your community, like they're generally not illegal. There's not crackdowns because of any circumstances.
There is another question now from Ryan Content. When you edit videos, how long do you try to make each clip time-wise?
This is as we talked about before.
Yeah.
I don't have a time. For me, it's completely a feel. When I feel like I start with why am I using this shot? What is it offering to the overall edit? And then like as far as how long is it there, it's like how long does it need to be there to serve that purpose? So for example, if I'm like transitioning from talking to the camera about whatever I'm talking about, and then want to move on into like riding footage, I'll usually jump into some B-roll, and that stuff is only there just long enough to get you excited, to get the feel of it, and then move into the next thing. So I don't live by any kind of like second depictions of how long stuff should be on screen.
Normally for me, I try to make them the shortest as possible. I answered already that, but I answered to who is asking. I normally edit 3 times my videos, and if I can, I come back the day after, because normally also if you are working, and for sure you work with colors for a long time, your eyes are used to, and you repeat that thing so many times, because you see 3 minutes of video, but in the beginning normally that video was, imagine, 20 minutes, and I cut and I cut and I cut. So I cut 3 times, and many times I try to come in the day after, or if I've been editing during the night, I start in the morning, or if I've been doing the morning, I try to come in the night to check once again my videos. So I do like you also, is like depending on what I want, and when I feel that is already I'm talking for too long, I cut, and I try to make it less about me, but more about the message that the people wants to take out of the video. So you have already answered this question. You use your phone. Also, you answered this. You use your GoPros, but in which situations you normally use? So Peter McKenna used to put inside the coffee and stuff like that. In which situation you normally use?
So I use the DSLR for most of it. The times when I use after that, I go to my 360 camera, and that I use specifically to capture ride footage of myself. But if I want to capture, and that's like specifically like seeing my whole body, like, carving through the city, that's when I use my 360 stuff. My GoPro, sometimes I just do it just to have an extra something there. Sometimes it just is useless, and I don't end up using it that much. The GoPro is very useful for, like, I have one mounted on my unicycle, so it's good for like a lower angle shot that's cool. I think I more use that at night, to be honest. So if I'm riding on the city at night with some people, the GoPro is on.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it works in New York. Maybe not where you are, but
because of the lights that you have in New York.
It works pretty well.
Okay.
But I don't veer away from the DSLR too much, because it's like I'm getting high quality 4K video.
So now I have a question for you, because you talk about DSLR. This is my dream for 2020. If this channel works really well, but because I already have spent too much money on this computer to be able to edit finally in conditions. What do you think about the Canon 5R?
Oh, I think it's the specs on it seem amazing. I probably would test it out and want to dive in with it if I did already own a bunch of Sony lenses and stuff. Is it full frame too?
Yeah. Full
Yeah,
frame
so
8K.
that seems promising.
Slots.
So I'm like I'm like a pixel peeper, I guess you would call it. It's like a dirty word, I guess. But like I need to look at the pixels. I need to shoot with it, and then like look at them on my monitor and see how they look. See how I can push it in the color grade to see if it's worth pushing over. Look, here's the deal.
It's
better.
It's like this just interrupting you. Like this, like a phone with 108 megabytes on the camera is not 108. Okay, it's just a pixel that have more pixels in one pixel. So
right. So I was going to say, based on the same
it was
note,
just a complete
good HD 1080p video, like with low compression and a good codec, is way better than a highly compressed bad codec 4K or 8K. So for them to achieve 8K, I guarantee you it's highly compressed in that small form factor. Like there's no way it's not. So there's going to be, I think, limitations to that camera when you're shooting that way. But I think what that camera offers is the 4K probably will be better. So but also, again, I would have to use it to really see like just how good it is. And
also filming in 8K, the memory cards, they'll
True. That's something I worry about too much. I mean, since I'm out of town right now, have like 150 terabyte video server. So I'm not really concerned with how much footage I'm capturing. I mean, now that I'm out of town, I'm not with the server. I'm much more conscious of it because I just have a couple of external hard drives. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be massive video files.
I will always shoot in 4K because even if I upload in 180p, it allows me to crop if I need it. So that's why I prefer to shoot in 4K than in 180p. You do the same?
Yeah, I think on my camera, I shoot 4K all the time. The only time I do 1080 is if I really feel like I need to shoot slow motion, I need to get a high frame rate capture, and my camera doesn't do 4K at high frame rate. But if I'm shooting on a gimbal or something, I found it's better for me to just slow it down in post because I have like great tools to do that and it not look awful, so that I can preserve shooting at the 4K resolution as opposed to just dropping down to 1080 and then dealing with that. Sometimes I really do. So I did a profile, like I said, on a rider here in Miami, and majority of that I shot 4K, and I will slow some of that down where I need to in post to have the slow motion look at certain points. But there was a second day where I shot with him, and I shot all high frame rate, 60 frames a second, and that's at 1080.
And the other day you was telling me that you even to do slow motions, you shoot in 24 frames per second.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. So on my camera, if you shoot at 60, it drops it down to 1080. So I will shoot most of the stuff now only in 4K at 2398, and I'll slow it down in post.
And you don't lose frames.
I have a program that creates frames.
Okay.
So it's the program that we use in the film industry.
Is that one that really you sent to me? The Twig Store.
Yeah.
But that is just for Adobe Premiere, no?
No.
It's for Mac also.
Yeah. It's for, I think you have to look at their website, but they're multi-platform and multi-program. So I don't know if it's in Final Cut, if that's what you're using. I'm not sure, but I have to guess they work in Final Cut too.
Okay. There is a question of Black Cobra. How is the autofocus on your camera when you shoot in 4K?
So on my lens is a 16-35. I think the autofocus is dependent upon your lens. I think my lens autofocus is okay, but I don't want to chance it. So I'm not somebody that shoots wide open all the time. So I'm not at f4. I'm usually shooting at I do a lot of action stuff, right? So I'm at least at 5.6, and I'm shooting daytime. So, cranking it down to 5.6, 6.3s, 8, f8, like that's helpful to reduce the light, but also to ensure that I don't have to worry about like, oh crap, this entire,
It was not in focus.
Exactly. I'm not letting it fall to chance. I have found that my lens is okay for autofocus. Like I shot a thing with my wife. There's a video coming out where I teach her how to learn the unicycle, and in our little interview portions, like we're just side by side, and it couldn't figure out which one it wanted to focus on, and I was at f4 for whatever reason at that time. It must have been like darker in the day or something, and it's not awful. I've seen worse, but it was having some tough time.
The next question is Mac or PC?
Both.
Both. Okay, explain better.
I use both. So I have, and it's kind of next to me, but I have a monster like custom built PC that I use for all my stuff.
You put some photos or something like that. Yeah. Recently.
Yeah. So I use a monster beast of a PC. It's like a water cooled system that I use for everything. And then also on the fly, I use my MacBook Pro to edit with too. And so I usually, for my vlog, keeping stuff on an external hard drive, like a little Samsung SSD, like
those are very small. Yeah,
blue one, the T5 or whatever it's called. So I can go back and forth between my Mac and my PC with that. But my Beast recently kind of like ate it and had a real issue, and so I have to ship it back to the people that had built it for me so they can fix it. So it's actually right there.
I saw that photo of that package.
They're supposed to be here already to pick it up today, so hopefully they don't interrupt the live stream. But the big freight service is supposed to show up and pick up my computer and ship it to New Jersey.
And which Mac do you have at the moment?
In my office I have like 5 computers because I hire teams of people. So right now I'm on, and I use here, like my laptop is a MacBook Pro. Forget what year it is. Let me see. Does it tell me? Anyways, but I also have an old Mac Tower, the cheese grater tower, it's like a Hackintosh. So I put like a NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti in it. So I use that as well. So I have my editors use that computer a lot of the time. And then this laptop is actually used by my assistants. But I took it with me. Yeah, this one is the 2017 15-inch. So it does pretty well. It's not as good as you have a better laptop than I do now.
I hope so. It's new.
But so I'm reserved to working with this laptop while this thing is out of town, while my Beast is out of town.
This was a great deal that I could do. So I saw the guy selling it online, and I started sending him some message saying it's too expensive. If you have some problems to sell it, talk to me. He put another price, and I said it's still too expensive. If you have problems to sell, come and talk to me. And after I give him the price, and he said yes, let's go. But yeah, it was like an all-in, but I need it, man. My computer, that one, now I was doing some videos, and if I touch the top part, man, I could burn my fingers. It was end of life already for what I needed. But yeah, besides that, Final Cut or Adobe Premiere, and why?
Adobe Premiere. So I edit in Adobe Premiere, and then I color grade in DaVinci Resolve. Premiere, because with all of its issues, it is the gold standard. It's what we use in the film industry for TV commercials. Guys who work on films like Marvel movies and stuff, they use Avid. But Final Cut Pro, when X came out, so before that, when it was Final Cut Pro 7 was the latest thing before X. Final Cut was widely used by people in the commercial industry to edit with, but when they went to X, it became more like iMovie, and the entire industry dropped it. So it became a stay-at-home dad editing program at that point. So, and now since then, Adobe was just under Final Cut Pro at that time for me. Like they were like pretty close to being on par with Final Cut, and then when they went to X, Adobe shot up, and then they must have had a lot more money in R&D, and now they're so much better. There's so many more offerings, and it's so much easier to do a lot of stuff. But there's a con. Like no program is perfect. Like
Yeah,
Some
rendering in Final
of their
Cut is so much faster.
some of their updates and things they put out are awful, and you have to like read on the internet before you upgrade. The nice part about Adobe is if I upgrade to the newest version and it's like not working for me, you can easily go back.
Go back. Yeah, no, not in Apple.
So that's like their biggest con, but in general, I feel like they do a lot of things really well, and especially with the workflow that I'm doing, where I have to speak to different programs, so to speak. So like I have to export XML out of my Adobe program and then import that into DaVinci Resolve, so I can then reconnect that with my source footage, so I can color grade it. Like, it's not something I can do and have confidence in Final Cut handling very well.
I use Final Cut because in that time first of all is the cheapest way to do it. If in the long term, it's much cheaper than paying every single month Adobe Premiere, and also because, like I said, I had this piece of now I can say is a piece of garbage. At this moment, in that time when I purchased it was a good computer, but not anymore. Obviously, if I was trying to edit in Adobe Premiere, if it was already difficult to edit on Final Cut and just using Final Cut in performance and closing everything to be able to edit and having to edit in a specific way, it will be impossible to do anything. So my main reason why I started using Final Cut it was because it was cheaper. And obviously, when you do YouTube and you don't see the money coming in, definitely you need to go in the cheapest as possible.
I mean, I have a counter to that, which is it's not quite up to par to Premiere, but it's really good. DaVinci Resolve now has really good editing functionality in that program, and it's free. So if you're really looking to not spend money,
yeah, DaVinci, and for color grading is the best one for what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the industry standard for like 25 years. Yeah. We basically had DaVinci, who was called something else before, and then Baselight. Those are the two color grading softwares that are used in the industry. I guess there's a couple of others that are used as well, like the Pablo system is used for color grading, and there's another one by Autodesk. I forget what it's called right now, but that's a company that makes Flame and stuff. So there's people. So I think some of the Marvel movies are graded with, I forget what the program's called, but it's made by Autodesk. It's not a program I would have ever thought to color grade in, but people are using it to do Marvel movies and stuff too. So
should be good. Yeah, I color grade directly on Final Cut because of also the time consuming to export the file, go to the other file and edit the colors and go out. So I do everything on Final Cut because time for me it's really precious. And you know how hard it is to do these videos, the time consuming, filming, editing, contacting companies, trying to get some deals, like just to get this offer that, by the way, who is there that wants to win the Xion protective gear? You have now 1 minute to put a yes. Let's see how many persons that after EVX is going to choose a name. Let's just give a bit.
Oh, that program is called Luster, by the way, that I was thinking of.
Luster.
Yeah. I don't recommend any of your viewers diving into that program. It's very expensive. It's very, like, if you've never used it, it's very complicated to figure out. It's a lot of these old dinosaur companies in my industry use these older programs and older, companies that create these, and they've been locked into it for years. So that's where they use it. And that's why something like Luster got better as like a color grading software, because they've just been around for years and then they had the money to invest. But yeah.
So in other words, EVX is saying if you are over 55, he recommends you. If you are not, don't go for it.
Yeah. Honestly, if anybody wants to dive into serious color grading, DaVinci Resolve is the way to go. And a lot of that too is, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, is You can't actually color grade on your GUI monitor. It's not really like going to show you all that you need to see with like I said. I think you need a 10-bit monitor so you can see everything. You need to see all the colors and see what's actually there, so you can actually fix what needs to be fixed, and you can actually add stuff that you want to add and take away where you want to take away. But Final Cut doesn't allow this, but in DaVinci Resolve, it's color managed and it's in 16-bit float, the way it handles the color. And basically, you have to push it out to the other monitor to see it. And you have to use a piece of hardware to get it out of your computer to push it into your 10-bit color calibrated monitor. So that way you can see everything. Because like I said, it's sort of like headphones, right? Like you want good headphones so you can hear what's really there, like studio headphones show you what's really there. So you don't want something that's smooth, like a Beats headphones is going to make it sound nice, but it might be hiding imperfections, right? So you want to have a monitor that shows you everything so that when you color grade it, you know that you're seeing what you're seeing. So for example, like all Apple monitors, which look really great, they enhance the saturation and contrast. So if someone else is watching it on a Dell monitor across the globe when they're watching a YouTube channel, it might look really washed out or saturated because you color graded it on your Apple monitor, where they definitely compensate because they want it to look sexy for, watching YouTube videos or texting on it or whatever. Like, so then that guy's like, oh, all Mickey's videos look awful, and they don't know, consumers don't know why. So that's why I think as a content creator, it's important to know, and I get that there's a price tag with that for sure. And I'm not dogging anybody that can't dive into that, but just something to aspire to eventually, being able to see the gear as it is, so that see the color as it is, so that when you put it out to the world, you know what to expect. We could go on for hours about this. There's like a whole long laundry list of things, but the basic thing is once you've done that and you've color graded appropriately, when it gets pushed out to the internet, it is the Wild West. Like I kind of said a second ago, every monitor is different. Every monitor is like a thumbprint. Not one of them is exactly the same, and a lot of them can't be calibrated. So the one thing you can do, like a piece of art, is you can color grade it, you can color correct it with a 10-bit color calibrated monitor being color managed and pushed out through DaVinci Resolve or whatever program, knowing that it's perfect when you finish there. And if it goes somewhere else and looks wild, it's not on you. They just have a crappy monitor. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least you know that, so if your monitor has a green tint to it, you actually won't know because you've been staring at your monitor for more than like 10 seconds. Your eyes adjust. So now you can't tell that it has a green tint. The way you can figure this out is on a lot of Apple stuff, you turn on that True Tone thing on your cell phone, or I think laptops have it now.
Since I get this one, I turn off that.
Right, so it'll turn it warm, but after like 20 minutes of working with it, it doesn't feel warm anymore to you. It just feels like normal. White feels white. But if you flip it back to like regular, you go, oh my God, it's so blue. So your eyes are constantly playing tricks on you, and so you'll get used to a green tint on your computer and not even know it. And so what you're doing is compensating maybe and pushing stuff more magenta to compensate for that green push. Yeah. And now across the globe, someone's watching your content and they're just like, everything just looks magenta with his videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, that's why you really want to see what's really there, to give it the best chance when it goes out to the world.
Obviously, but how much costs one of your monitors, just so everyone have an idea?
Like 4,000, I think, for. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. But that's cheap. That's cheap. And those monitors used to cost $100,000.
Yeah, but is what I'm saying is really expensive for, like, for example, for me, it's impossible. If I can pay 500 for a monitor, it will be the maximum that I'll be paying.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's
like I'm not.
You can obviously
dive into it. Actually, totally fine.
No, but definitely, I completely agree that using a good monitor allows you to see what you are doing. And but yeah, for me, it's really impossible. Those type. And what you recommend if someone have a crappy monitor? What you recommend to do? So, thinking like me, that I've been doing these videos always with the few materials, the few technology that I had, what you recommend to do?
Well, you made the first right step, which is you got a decent laptop, right? So I would say your monitor now, your GUI monitor from your laptop, it's not crappy. It's not going to give you the true image, but it's not crappy at all, right? So first thing is, if you have a computer, try to get a computer like a Mac or something that has decent enough monitors, right? Like, but there are plenty of, I haven't done any reviews on it. I don't really do that, but there are plenty of other monitors out there that I use as my GUI monitors, so I can kind of get close to my color grading monitor. Like I use some Dell monitors that have really good color fidelity. It's not quite the same. I can see the differences, but there are some things you can purchase that are like decently priced. To be honest, I don't have any clue what is unobtainable for people, because in my world, like it's a prerequisite, right, to have some of this gear, right? Where like if someone else said, you spent how much on Electric Unicycle? And you'd be like, well, you have to have something that's worth buying, right? So like
I understand.
when I'm saying I have a nice Dell monitor for my GUI monitor, I think it's an $800 monitor. So I'm sure that's a lot of money for whoever, you know.
Yeah, obviously. That's why I wanted to see which type. So if I had to buy a monitor, you recommend me to go to a Dell in the lower price, because obviously I'm not going to give 4,000 for a monitor.
There's the specific ones I could tell you.
Okay.
I don't have it memorized, but there's specific ones that I would go to. There's another LG one that I like as well, but all of them you kind of get to. What I do is I compare them to my color monitor, and I can see certain
you have to.
Like, okay, this monitor looks a little blue. Okay, now I know that, right? So, but in general, most of the monitors you're going to see, whether it's your Apple laptop monitor or anything on the market, two things you're going to see. Generally, there's going to be a more blue or magenta push to those compared to regular, like a color grading monitor. And then you're also going to see better or worse contrast, like how dark do the blacks get, that kind of thing. Like, so on an Apple, they really crank the contrast. So the blacks look really dark usually. So it's sort of like, if you know what to expect from the monitor, then you know how to compensate, basically.
And my last question before we choose who passed to the final, which is, so not related with this conversation, but related with our passion, which is your favorite electric unicycle? Even if I think I know the answer, but.
Well, probably not a secret. It is the Gotway Nikola Plus.
And why?
I think for me it is, and again, I wouldn't say it is the most balanced wheel in general, and that's a weird word to use. It is all wheels have a give and take, right? A bigger wheel, an 18-inch wheel, is going to have some. It's not going to be as torquey, but it'll be a little more safe. Generally, the 18-inch wheels are going to be a little faster, have more range compared to the smaller wheels in the past. I mean, now it's kind of changing a little bit, right, with the newer wheels coming out. But I would pick the Nikola because it offers all the things that I want with the least amount of drawbacks, right? So it has amenities of LED lights, which I like. Some guys think they're disgusting. I don't. It has a handle coming from Kingsong. My biggest gripe with Kingsong, and it's funny that it's lauded as their biggest strength, is I hate their handles. I think the handles are luggage handles, and I went through multiple handles all the time. Their biggest drawback, look, when the 18XL first came out, it was a 55-pound wheel. It's held in by a little nub that holds luggage, you know, like, so when you lift their handle, eventually, I think after like 3 weeks, it broke. I mean, it's like the tiniest piece of metal holding that thing locked down in place. So because of me and a few other people who told Jason at eWheels, listen, this is garbage. Can you do something about this? Because, you know, side note, eWheels in North America is really great for a lot of reasons. But one of them is like, Jason does a lot of stuff for the community that people don't know about, that is unseen, right? So the XL pedals for King Song that exist, that are on the 18L and the XL, he invented those. They didn't have those before that, and he said, you know what, you need bigger pedals, and King Song said, why? And so he said, you know what, I'll design them. I will sell you the design, and you'll pay me perpetuity, but you should sell these. I promise you they will sell. And he makes money off of every one of those sold, but he obviously buys extra pedals and buys the wheels that have those pedals and sells it as a dealer. Anyways, so all that's being said, we now have a bit thicker of a nub in the King Song handles. So like the 16X, the 18XL have the updated handle. But my biggest problem was I go up a walk-up apartment every day. Even with the better one, it still broke eventually. It slips out. It's like softer metal, so it rubs and slips out. So I love the handle on my Gotway. I love there's a physical handle on the Nikola, right? Where like on MSX too. There's
and how is to grab it on the middle? It's super large. Do you like it?
I don't mind it because you don't grab it like this, like you would the 16X handle, right? Or any other handle. You're just cupping it under and you're holding it like this, and I kind of put it onto my hip. So if you try to hold it like another handle, it would look very weird. But yeah, I just hold it on my side. So the handle's great. The Scorpion thing is meh, is what it is. It's kind of a downside to that wheel, the pop-up Scorpion handle for trolleying. But anyways, the speed and the power of that thing, it's the power ceiling keeping me safe, and I can still go really fast if I want to. It's kind of all there for me. You know, drawbacks are it's still 16-inch wheel, so there are some bumps in terrain where I have to be a little bit more careful than on my 18-inch wheels.
Do you miss the 16X, the nimble of the 16X?
So yeah, I do, but I feel like I've gotten used to the Nikola to where I can get it pretty close to the same nimbleness. But for sure, you can feel mine's more like a boat. You know, it takes a little while to turn. But if it's kind of a personal, rider technique. If you crank it and you can use your legs the right way, you can make it totally usable.
Yeah, like the Z10 that I defend so much. I love that wheel, man.
But actually, Black Cobra was asking, doesn't the Nikola handle break in a crash? Yeah, but there's an easy way around that.
You put some Velcro.
I have not Velcro underneath it, but I have like a Velcro strap that I use on like cables or whatever. You put that around it. You can buy it wherever. And that keeps it pretty good. But for sure, that is the first thing to break on that wheel if you have a crash. But to be honest, it's like an $80 or $90 purchase. So in the grand scheme of parts that you might have to purchase for your unicycle, kind of on the cheaper side. So it's not awful,
It's easy to resolve. It's more difficult to put some lights on the Z10. Robert Ace that have already been here. I love this guy. I miss you, man. Hi, dudes. One question for Robert from Robert Ace. Why only China and no other develop serious EUCs machines? What do you think? Yeah,
money. It's going to cost them too much, especially in like America or somewhere, or the UK. It's just cost too much, the labor to do it. If we had it here, you'd have like $8,000 unicycles.
And after also you have you could, if you had started to have some brands trying to do this, for example in the UK, it will happen like brands like Slick Revolution that they brand that saying that is from the UK, but after is completely a Chinese board. You'll find the asks that you find in the cheap boards and stuff like that. There is another question for both. What is your thoughts about the handle from the new S18 design and position?
I think it's probably going to feel like a better version of the MSX handle. If you're familiar with that, it's the same positioning where it's like side lateral, but this is centered over the wheel, which is much better. But like I said, it's a King Song handle, so it's going to be that luggage design. So if you have to really pick that wheel up a lot, like I said, I live in a walk-up apartment. Eventually, it's going to potentially break. But it's a lighter wheel, so it might have a better life before that happens. but essentially it's those little nubs inside the metal rubs.
Yeah, it just
going
the screws
up and down.
Yeah,
and then eventually it rubs to where it doesn't catch anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I love the handle of the KS 16X. I really like it until today. Hopefully, I never had problems. But also, it's really rare that I lift my wheel. So it's really rare. So I live in a house. So I don't live in an apartment. So I just go in and that's it. And I used to work at Apple Store or at Vision Express Store. So also, I don't have to go up with the wheel anywhere. So that was no, I'm lying. At Vision Express, yes, I needed to take the wheel upstairs. But I'm not. I have already talked about this. I feel that the S18 has been made it a little bit like short notice. So it feels like they are trying to get the things right. But one thing that I don't like about the King Song at the moment, and I like it in the beginning, is I think they never really test the wheels in a way that the wheel will really feel the same and 1 year later, 6 months later. What I'm saying with this is I use my King Song 16X and I have a lot of parasitus noise at the moment. I don't know if it happens to you, bro, but for me, using now I feel the pedals, they do noise, everything makes noise. And I have my Z10, have more miles, I have 3,000 something on the Z, and I have 2,200 and something on the King Song. The Z continue the same, no noises, no nothing. So, and I don't have...
makes a lot of noise. So it's not out of the ordinary. If the Z10 is not making any noises, that's great stuff. But most of these start to creak after a few hundred miles.
I hate it.
Fan noises, creaking of pedals and things like that. Like, that's pretty normal. That's been our experience so far. Now, does that mean it has to be the experience going forward? No. Yeah. It could be better. But that's just been all of my experience with all these wheels over the years.
I would like to see Robert Ace, do your Z10 do some noises, because obviously you have 12,000 kilometers on yours. So I'd like to know if you have any noises on yours. Guys, any other questions, or we are going to choose the winner? The winner. It's not the winner. It's the one that passed to the final. So just to be clear, okay?
So how am I feel like I saw one person who said they wanted it. How do I know?
No. You have a list? Okay, they are a list. Today, this time, because next time I will do it. The next time, so let's do like this. You have, let me see. I'll give you have to give me a number between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So between 1 and 7, say a number.
Well, my birthday is October 7th, so we'll go at 7.
So the one that passed to the next stage is Guillermo Navarro. Guillermo, you are in the final. Are you still there, Guillermo?
Hopefully. Claim your prize.
Yeah, because if it's not, I will choose someone else. Navarro. Let's just wait. I need to obviously have all these EVX. Till now, it don't have respond. I'll give a few more seconds. There is any questions, guys, for us? I give more 30 seconds to Guillermo Navarro to say something, to know if it's there. Otherwise, we'll pick someone else. No, we should put that music of elevator behind. Is it here? Okay, Guillermo. So you are in the final, okay? Don't forget, you need to be present also on the final, and even if you have one ticket, it doesn't mean that you can't get a second. If you get a second, you'll get the opportunity to take one out of the run in the last day.
When is the next? Do you have to come back for the live stream with Wrong Way? When is that?
Yeah, that is the 29th of May. So it's when we are going to obviously we choose someone else to the final, and after we'll choose who is going to win this, and after you guys have to send me an email with the details. But yeah, I have already put on the side, Guillermo, you are on the final. Congratulations. And we are going to finish this. I'm here because it was desperate now. No, because obviously I see the comments on the StreamYard, so maybe they take just a little bit longer to arrive in this side. So that's why I was giving a little bit more minutes. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Don't forget, we'll be once again live next Friday. Next Friday, I think, is with the association, the Italian association, that we are going to talk what is the benefits of the electric unicycle that is happening in the COVID-19. So I think it's a quite interesting thing that they are doing there. So don't forget, 3 p.m. Next Friday, and obviously Monday and Wednesday I'll be putting out some new videos. If you want to win the Ruroc, don't forget, if you want obviously to purchase the Xion protections, you have there the code 10% off. So if you use it, you'll pay a little bit less because they are quite pricey. Okay, guys, thank you very much and speak to you soon.